All right, let's get started today. Welcome back, and we'll talk about UConn. UConn lost to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We'll talk about that and more on today's episode.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are Locked On Women's Basketball. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available at this podcast and on YouTube. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com. My name is Hunter Cruse. I'm your Saturday host covering the WNBA draft and prospect scouting. I'm joined today by my co-hosts Emily Adler and Lincoln Shafer. Emily covers the draft with a focus on player development and the game within the game. Lincoln also contributes to our draft coverage here at The Next and Locked On Women's Basketball. To start off with today's episode, Lincoln, what was your initial takeaway from UConn, Notre Dame, top 10 showdown, WNBA players in attendance, very friendly teammates are in attendance? What'd you think?
Notre Dame is good when their best players are good.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Yeah,
That's never been true before.
never been true before. The guard tandem is incredible, and that means that when they get even like medium levels of contribution from the other starters and the other two players that play for them, that they become a terrifying amalgamation of incredible basketball. Liatu King was incredible. She's just been such a steady presence for them, playing a lion's share of the minutes at the four with all of the injuries that Notre Dame's dealing with. And she's just been a ball of energy on both ends, and it's been very helpful for them.
I wrote last week that this combination of Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo, it was sort of buried in a piece about how good Sarah Strong is, which we'll get to. But like Strong and Page by the end of the season, I think we'll be disappointed if it's not clearly one of the best two-player combinations in collegiate history. But right now, despite the fact that they had never played together until a month ago, Hidalgo and Miles, their chemistry together is insane. Like, just based on talent, this is the best pair of teammates that we've had at the collegiate level, at least since Sabrina and Satu, if not since like Stewie and Mojef. But wait, where was I going with this? I don't know. They're just good. Yeah, that was a great question. Where was I going with this? They're really good. This team should be a national. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
When Hannah Hidalgo hits 5 threes, they're terrifying.
Aren't most teams terrifying when like their second best shooter hits 5 threes?
Yeah, that's true, but it's especially bad when you're playing against Notre Dame, and then all of a sudden Hannah Hidalgo, like a leprechaun, is stealing the ball from your best player and coming down and hitting a transition pull-up 3 on the other side. That's terrifying.
Yeah, leprechauns are known for their help defense. That's why the Celtics are so good at their rotation.
Exactly.
Hunter, save this conversation, please.
Yeah, I want to shout out Liatu King for just the tough mid-range jumpers that she made in this game, like the high release point. You mentioned it, Em. If she was 6'2", would we talk about her as like a prospect in this draft? You think?
Yeah, is she not our just like Taylor Soule 2.0? I mean, obviously they're different players.
Like forward than
they're
Soule,
different players.
Like, yeah, just like
Soule was a forward. That was the issue.
But Soule like kind of played on the perimeter. I feel like more than I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying. I guess that's it. It was more of a driving thing. Mm-hmm. He's like if Michaela Onyenwere was like better but couldn't shoot threes.
That's actually.
That's right. That's right, Lincoln. Makes you think, doesn't it?
King averaged 19 and 11 basically at Pitt last year.
Yeah, but she's playing the 5.
Yeah, right. That Pitt team was borderline disgraceful to basketball.
Here's the thing: if you If you stick UCLA Michaela Nwere and you like take her from the Pac-12 and you put her in like the West Coast Conference instead, put her on like Pepperdine, she's putting up 19-11 easy.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they would also play her at the 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun basketball happening in South Bend.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know already, Notre Dame is better because they don't have they're injured. They're actually better.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
Gino.
So for listeners, this is a reference to a very blunt SI, possibly AI written article that basically just rounded up a Gino quote where he basically said that because Notre Dame was injured, they were playing 6 players and all of them had to play basically like 40 minutes, which meant they were better because they were playing more.
I'd also note that Michaela Nwere averaged 19 and 9 at UCLA, so
You're right.
close enough.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so
Yeah.
goated for that.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, it's a really stupid quote for like so many reasons.
Notre Dame doesn't have any
Gino-
important players hurt, do they? Nobody's important's hurt.
No.
Does Gino know-
They definitely weren't down to only one actual post player who was a freshman who couldn't score for shit.
Does Gino know that he's in control of his own rotations too? He was like, "Oh, they have such a boon because all their best players are playing so many minutes."
Nobody made him play Chelly at 5 minutes in. Like Q came off the bench, played 2 minutes, and like turned over the ball in those one possession.
Both of
He
Notre
could've-
Dame's best post players are hurt. Well, coming into this game.
He could have just played his best players more minutes.
He was been hypocritical because like during that time he'd be like, "Oh, we have so many injuries. We're doing our best." But now it's like the injuries. It's good, all the injuries. They're playing well because they got a bunch of injuries. We can't handle it. It's like it's just insane, Cope. Honestly,
It's the Candace
Hunter, are you
Parker
familiar with the
Close in
concept of
full
trauma
effect.
bonding? I think that's what he's suggesting Notre Dame is doing.
You lose your ACL. Now you all feel the same.
Is this Juche?
Hunter, go to ad break. We gotta reset.
we gotta get to our
Hey,
first ad break.
Hey. Notre is, I think, Latin for north. They're both ruled by very charismatic leaders.
With Robinhood Gold, you can now you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows you to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Time today at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold member is by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, to kick off segment 2, on the UConn side of things, Lincoln, whenever you watch this game offensively, defensively, what did you notice about like UConn's approach when coming to this game?
Gino loves egalitarian basketball,
Too much.
which when you have 2 great players and several players who are not as great, that
how
can
it would
cause
format
some
it
problems.
is the drop off between 2 and everybody else is like so massive with this team.
Yeah, but Sarah Strong is super fun. That combination of
Very good at hoop.
size, athleticism, ball skills, and like defensive instincts is something we've very, very rarely seen before. Like,
The point there is, when was the last? Here's the thing: we can talk about the fact that this ice is, not ISIS. Ice is.
What? We need to cut your mic.
yeah, you're done here.
Ice is UConn's worst starting big since basically Gino was hired.
That's
Not
wild.
counting Amari DeBerry. Not counting Amari DeBerry.
Yeah, I'm saying like yeah.
Worst like intentional starter. Like Amari was there because of injuries. Worst like intentional. We can talk about that. But like, look, if Sarah wasn't there, Paige graduates, leaves after this year. Their starting lineup next year, like, would not win most power conferences. Actually,
If
would not
Aubrey
win any
Griffin-
power conference.
If
next
Aubrey
year.
Griffin can get another medical red shirt, she could come back and start for that team.
Oh my gosh.
Aubrey Griffin can still have another year if Val Ackerman has
26-year-old.
the courage.
Yeah, I mean, if she doesn't play this year, you can get the medical red shirt. It could happen. She tore her ACL in February last year.
She will
It'd
have
be close.
basically started. I think she will have literally, if that happens, she will have literally started and ended her college career in the same time that AJ Griffin started and his college and ended his professional basketball career.
Well,
What a family! What a family!
what a family.
But on the note of UConn, do you think it's a good idea for Paige Beckers to not take a shot for like the first 3 minutes of a game, and also on back-to-back possessions in the first 3 minutes, she is on the weak side corner, not involved in the action whatsoever? So we can
Hunter,
see-
this sounds like a little bit of a loaded question.
It is.
Yeah, it's not great, Bob. Look, Caitlin Chen is a very good player. She's a very good collegiate player. She won, I think, back-to-back. Was it back-to-back? Ivy League Player of the Year, or like Ivy League Most Outstanding Tournament Player in back-to-back years for a reason. She like in a sixth woman role, she would be like, she could be in a sixth woman role on a top 15 team, whatever, pretty easily. There are plenty of top 15 teams actually that have worse starters than Caitlin Chen. The issue is this starting lineup cannot handle Caitlin Chen being the third best player. Even if Azzy's here, Caitlin Chen is arguably still the third best starter, and like you can't do that if you're trying to be a top 5 team. Which again is no slight against her, but you have to be able to create some level of something with your third best player in today's day and age that isn't, just being a solid role player.
Caitlin Chen, 3-time Ivy League Tournament Most Outstanding Player, 1-time Ivy League Player of the Year.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, if you average it out.
Yeah, there you go.
Also,
but yeah, the whole, like, Azzy's very good. Having poor man's Azzy in Ashlyn Shade is like fine. You actually don't lose that much, except for some reason she just like never touches the ball to shoot threes, which is weird, and that feels like a coaching thing, but that's neither here nor there. Again, but like you're encountering structural issues with the starting lineup that, Hunter, you can talk about this more. That schematically you're just not working around.
can we promote CD to head coach mid-season? See what happens.
Are they not the
Can we
same
bring
person
Shea
now,
Ralph
JPEG?
back? Can we just bring Shea Ralph already?
Please. But what I would say about like the offensive system, like you said, with having Caitlin Chen limiting you, she can't really play off ball. I don't really know what she's gonna really bring you off the ball. Really, like she's not a fantastic shooter. Then on the ball, she doesn't create advantages like really at all. It was the problem with Nika leading their offense last season. Like I understand that Gino wants Paige to be off the ball and run off screens, but using her as an off-ball guard is like just misusing her. Like we saw it in this game. Whenever they put the ball in the hands of Paige Beckers the first time on a primary possession with her as the primary ball handler, they get right to the rim, she scores, and that was their easiest bucket of like the first 4 minutes of the game. I just do not get what he's. I know he likes to always have these different like steady guards that can make good reads, but we'll see what happens throughout the season. I think Paige should just have the ball in her hands and take 25 shots a game because I mean that's their best avenue of success. Her and Sarah Strong taking a bunch of shots.
So there's two ways to be a great coach at the college level. Either you have a system that you put into place and you recruit players to fit the system, or
Postmaster.
this is a great way to play, or the other option is to recruit great players and adapt your style of play to fit the strengths of those players. And Gino has always been the kind of guy who has a system in place that they run, and he gets the players to fit it. They don't really have the players to fit it now, and part of that is, I mean, they can kind of run.
I have a mild contention with the way that this sort of describes UConn history, in that I think for the most part of the history of the sport, the system maximized pretty well what players were doing,
Yeah.
especially for like it's not that he recruited players to fit the system, I think, so much as he was able to get the best people players within the team, and from there, as long as you only needed like a couple skills to sort of make everything click.
Yeah, and it's easy when you have the best player in the country and the best point guard and the best center, which he's had.
Are you describing Bria Hartley, Kia Stokes, and Stephanie Dolson?
Exactly. But like when you have Maya Moore and Tina Charles and Renee Montgomery, everything is so easy. It just runs itself. But when Gino has talked probably I think 1,000,003 times about how they need Paige to be more assertive, and at some point it's not just an issue that comes with Paige. It has to be something that you address as a coaching staff. I don't know.
The Princeton system is simply not a system that's like built to have like one player stand out like that. I mean, look, basically since like Candace Wiggins left Stanford, when did Stanford have like one player who stood out and like pulled the team? That like even as Nneka and Shanae were like each leading the teams in the way they were, the shot distribution was pretty even across players. Yeah. In terms of usage rate, when they wanted or needed Haley or Cameron Brink to sort of take over games over the past like 5-6 years, that it happened at times. That happened via force feeding and from getting away from the actual structure of the system. It doesn't work in the way that you necessarily want it to. And Gino's been very, very good at adapting these systems over time. This isn't the sort of thing where, Pat Summitt dominates on the court for 12, 15 years, whatever. But then when sort of the schematic end comes, it comes very abruptly for her. Again, we talked about this before. Candace masks part of that, but the end was already there. Candace was just so good it didn't matter. With Gino, it's not, I don't think it's that, it's been so abrupt and he's been able to sort of change this over time. But you need, I think, the specific personnel that they're running this year calls for something more deliberate than what they're doing. And because you can't build the boat around 5 players who can all work together and do stuff, or even 4. You have 2.5.
And one point there is their system is built around their bigs being able to pass and like find cutters. Whenever you have Ice Braid, you like, I just don't think she's a great passing big. Like she averages like 2 assists per game, which is just a function of the system. Mm-hmm. The passing reads that she was missing, like they're easy reads that she was just kind of focused on like the next perimeter player to swing it to rather than like having her eyes around the whole court and keeping her eyes up. And I think whenever you have players like that have such big flaws that they can't like fit the certain aspects you want for the system just kind of crumbles and you're just like devolving into a bunch of tough jumpers. So
and the bigs don't even like have to be like excellent.
Not even excellent. It's just like make the reads.
Yeah, they just have to be able to make the reads. Like Olivia Nelson-Adada was very, very good at passing within that system. She has a career 4.5% assist rate in the W compared to a nearly 20% turnover rate. She is objectively one of the worst players in the entire WNBA at passing without turning over the ball. However, at UConn, she made it work perfectly fine. You just have to be able to read correctly within the system and see the things right. Ice can't do that.
And to summarize the last 10 minutes, let Paige cook, you old geezer.
Also start Jana.
Also start Jana, and I would also say run a bunch of actions with Paige screening for Sarah and Sarah screening for Paige. It works. It works. Let's get to our final ad break and come back and talk about some Sarah Strong a little bit more. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. When you get in a hunt in the middle of the game, you can check out the live stats, view play-by-play data, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $100 and $50 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, to kick off segment 3, Sarah Strong has been the best freshman in college basketball this season. Overall, her numbers: 16 points, 7.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, to 1.3 turnovers, 57 from the field, 35, 63. Doesn't take many free throws. What have we seen from Sarah, and what makes you think like this is a prospect that's like one of the best in college basketball once Paige leaves, and we're talking about like one of the best players in the country as well? It's just All-American caliber player every year.
I think we're talking about one of the 12 best prospects in college history, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. She's good at everything. She's basically good at everything right now except drawing fouls, and like, I don't know, rotating quicker. But like,
she had some good moments defensively in this game.
No, I'm not saying she's bad, but I'm saying in terms of things she's not necessarily great at right now. Like, she's, I think, a great example of the knowledge we've built up from doing as much like historical retrospects as we have. It's really nice because now we're like, oh, we know which skills tend to show up as bad in freshmen and then improve pretty rapidly from there. And I think Strong is a very good example of like, hey, all the things she's bad at now, she'll probably be good at by the end of next season. And that'll just be a 7 or 8.
By March, maybe.
We also have a lot of examples of what all-time great players look like as freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks kind of like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially in today's day and age, you usually do not come in this good.
Yeah.
Is there any players that she reminds you of, like from players you've watched?
She's a...
Wait, do you want to break out the forbidden comps?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, is it reaches into the forbidden comps territory. You get like the top 3 in MVP voting this year.
Asia, AT, and Stewie.
Fee was second.
Oh, right.
It's verging on that territory.
Yeah, the specific comps I've made so far are like inverted Fee, so like if you switched how good she was at like offense and defense, and like power forward catch minus like 3 grades of help defense, which, like, to be clear, one, we can't evaluate help defense this early. We can evaluate sort of the ability to read the court and like instincts for helping, which Strong is very good at. But like we can't put a grade on it. But like even if you take away 3 grades of help defense from catch, that's nearly an all-star as a helper.
Yeah, because catch is inarguably a top 3 defender of all time.
She was inarguably the greatest help defender of all time.
Yeah. She's just the most valuable non-center defender in maybe the history of basketball.
Seems right.
I'm just pretending to think. I actually wasn't thinking.
Yeah, like Sarah Strong this is what all-stars look like when they're 18. This is a tremendous basketball player who has all sorts of skills that are really hard to teach to college and professional basketball players, and just does things right all the time.
Just based on the freshman year, I think when you see players who are so good at this top level stuff, she is essentially unstoppable from getting to her right-handed drives, like Jeff Waltz set the Louisville game when she destroyed them driving. Part of the game plan was we were supposed to make sure she didn't go right, and then we didn't do that. Notre Dame was very clearly also trying to force her left. It doesn't matter. She just hits a little hezzy, and the first step is so good she's just by you already. These top level things, that the ability to shoot off some level of not like movement, but like shoot off side steps and step backs, even off the catch. Again, getting to the rim, screening, the way that she navigates space in both drop and sort of at the level are very promising for someone this young with that understanding. Like when you see these, so that high level and that sort of more minute detail of players this early on, like the worst that people turn out when they look like this is like what? Like Camila Cardoso or Morgan Tuck?
Yeah. It's impressive for someone who is shooting 75% from 2-point range.
70% in the half court at the rim or something.
Yeah, to also be shooting 35% on 5 threes a game. That is
a lot of which in recent games have been desperation threes.
Yeah.
Because they don't have anyone else to take those last second threes aside from Paige, who's getting doubled.
Yeah. Very, very, very fun basketball is happening when Sarah Strong is involved in the game.
One last
Not so
thing
much fun is
was
happening when she sits and you have Ice and Jana. Also, UConn's better at the 5. That's worked. Please keep doing it.
yeah, just put her at the 5. One last thing was one thing we talked about this week was possibly having like high variance, like low variance on our board and stuff like that. It's crazy. Like right now, Sarah Strong's like already like a low variance, medium variance player. You think? You don't think so?
I would say at this point she's a high variance 7, which is to say you could be the greatest player of all time, or you could just be like an all-star.
But like for like a freshman standpoint, though, it's like
From a freshman standpoint, I see what you're saying. I just don't like that. All freshmen are high variance. Except
freshmen,
Juju.
So currently, Sarah Strong is averaging 16 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.4 steals, and 1.4 blocks per game.
Holy shit. That's so many.
Average that.
Yeah.
That's so many.
No front court freshman in the Her Hoop Stats era has averaged even 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. So this is a one of one kind of play.
Has anybody had that?
As a freshman?
Caitlin? Oh, no,
Yeah, Caitlin did it as that's why I excluded guards, because there are definitely freshman guards who have done it. But that is limited to, funnily enough, Juju Watkins and Haley Cavender at Fresno State averaged 15.7 points, 7 rebounds, and 3.5
Haley
assists.
Cavender, Caitlin Clark, and Sarah Strong.
Actually, I think freshman Caitlin was at 6.5 rebounds.
Mountain West God.
And Alasia Blockton at Marquette in 2015 also averaged 15, 7, and 3 as a freshman. Yeah, freshman Caitlin Clark was at 5.9 rebounds per game, so she was not at that mark.
Yeah, how dare she? That sucks.
Yeah, so very good basketball players all over the world.
It's like an R&B song.
One last shout out to NC State's offense. Only 1 assist.
Okay, that was fraudulent, though.
It was the 1 assist?
No, they had more assists that just didn't get counted in the box score.
Sometimes they count the plays that aren't even really assists.
I would also my last thing that I want to say, there's incredible volleyball happening right now on ESPN, ESPN2. Watch it. It's awesome.
Are the Huskers still in?
The Huskers are the number 1 seed in their region. Sweet 16 game tonight, Friday night. That'll be done by the time this game happens. Creighton just beat 2-time defending champion Texas in Rec Hall in Penn State.
Oh my God!
Shout out to the Nebraska track and field star that's now going to the WWE.
Hunter, I got some stats for you.
Ooh, fun.
Or actually, for both of you. So excluding a player for a neo-fascist university who's only played in 1 game this year in 26 minutes, so we're not going to talk about her. There have been 5 players since the 80s in women's basketball who, as freshmen, averaged 15, 7, 3, 1, and 2. We've already named one of them. It's Sarah Strong.
Can I get
One of
Cheryl
them-
Miller?
Yes! Cheryl
crazy
Miller is another
guess.
one of them. Her stats are
Candace Parker.
kind of insane.
Absurd.
No. One of them, I'll give you. Her name's Joskeen Garner. She played in 1992-93 at Northwestern State, which is in Louisiana and is a very low major.
I'm still trying to get my 90s knowledge up. I'm on Providence just right now. I gotta get my other
Yeah.
teams up.
Who's the last one then?
So there are 2 more. One of them is a small forward legend from the San Antonio Stars when Becky got there. She's got a lot of P's in her last name.
Yeah.
Lincoln?
Aaron Purpleglue.
That's right!
At the
Aaron
Masters
Purpleoglu.
University.
at
Masters
UC Santa
Univer-
Barbara.
UC Santa Barbara. Yep.
As a freshman, she averaged 17, 9, 3, 1.5, and 2.5.
Good player.
How many players is on that list?
So we have one more player. She's active and is a contender for National Player of the Year this year.
Juju Watkins.
That's right.
Yeah.
So of players who are averaging what Strong is currently averaging, who have done that as freshmen, we have someone at Northwestern State in the early 90s. Then we have Perperoglu at UC Santa Barbara and Cheryl and Juju.
Good company.
It's impressive.
Yeah. And we did it all just at the 33-minute mark. Howard?
Ooh. Thanks for making Lost Basketball your first listen every day. Make sure to check us out at the next for more coverage. And hope you guys have a great day.